to Gina Johnson. You are a holistic business coach, and I'm just going to let you take it from there. Tell me, tell me why you became a holistic business coach, and a little bit about what brought you to that as well.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm a former chef. As you know, I've told you that, and I didn't want to be anything else besides a chef. That's always what I wanted to be since I was a little girl. And I think because being a chef is nurturing and taking care of someone, and I think we all, as human beings, we have to figure out what our secret sauce is and what our purpose in life is. And my purpose is to serve others and help other people. And so anyway, so fast forward, I was a chef. I started cooking food for my family since I was 8 years old. Went to culinary school, worked at a bed and breakfast and restaurants. And then all of a sudden I turned 40 and boom, there was a little shift. It just wasn't filling my bucket anymore. And I thought like, oh crap, what now, right? Well, this is who I am. This is my identity. But I always had a flair for business and for helping people, and always did little, from being a 9-year-old having a lemonade stand to having a carnival in my backyard and selling tickets to all the neighborhood kids to come and entertain them, right? I always figured out a way to make money, whether I was scamming my siblings on their chore money or whatever. I was always figuring it out. I had that business mind.
For sure.
So I went through this place where I was lost. So here I am, a 40-year-old mom with 2 tweens at home. And like, okay, now what? What do I want to do with my life? And I always thought like I had it made because I knew, and I was so passionate about what I wanted to do. And I listened to so many other people struggle, and I was like, whew, so glad I know what I love. And I came home from the bed and breakfast so happy all the time, and I loved it. So it was really upsetting when all of a sudden it wasn't filling the bucket. Right. So I went on this spiritual journey, and many years ago, when I was grieving, I had unfortunately lost a child, and during that time I discovered a lot of, during my healing process, the holistic world and the holistic community, and Reiki and acupuncture and meditation and yoga and all of that stuff that I had always thought was woo-woo, right? And I was like, ugh, I was not that kind of a person. But during that period of my life, I discovered all of that. But then we get busy as being a mom and a wife and a home and all that other stuff. And then, so I kind of stuffed it down. So now when my kids are older and they need me a little less and I'm lost and I don't know what I want to do, so I just thought I would just experiment. And one thing I knew that I was really good at is bringing people together. Right. I'm an ideas person, bringing people together. So I started taking some fun classes, and then I was trained in multiple holistic modalities, which in my mind, I thought I was going to become a healer, which I was, but no. The universe had another plan for me. And really the plan was to be a coach to the healers. Right. So during that journey of 6 years, I worked at a mind, body, spirit center, did a lot of soul searching, was in that uncomfortable, lost place. And I realized I led entrepreneurial groups, that I was really good at it. But the secret was I was good at promoting everybody else's business. And I kind of hid in the shadows behind someone else, somebody else's company, somebody else's business. And it was so natural to me. So I had to stop and think about, what are those things that people say come so natural? How did you do that? Like, that was amazing, And so that's one of the courses I teach, is discovering your secret sauce. And that's really the essence of it is, what is it that comes so natural and so easy? So I sat down old school. I am a pen and paper, old school kind of girl. Although living in this, technically savvy communications world, as you know, being a journalist yourself, we have to be up on all of that. And I wrote down, what am I good at? What do I like? What don't I like? What do I want? What don't I want? And I kind of did the pros and cons list, and it led me down that entrepreneurial path. So I was teaching lunch and learns, and learned kind of a self-starter, doing the business coaching type things by accident. I never in a million years thought this was going to happen. It just happened by accident from people saying, from leading entrepreneurial groups. Right. So I stepped back from leading my entrepreneurial groups, and then the people wanted me. I did it for a couple of years. So I was working for this mind, body, spirit center, and they said, all of these women from these entrepreneurial groups kept saying, can we get a cup of coffee? Can I buy you a drink? I really miss you. And so the owners of the Mind, Body, Spirit Center said, this is ridiculous. You're giving it away. You need to do something. You need to pull these people together. They have to start paying you. You can't keep going out because there was over 100 of them. You just can't keep going and having coffee and running everybody's businesses. They're like, you're
How was that going on? How?
At least a good 2 years. Wow. They're like, you're a business coach. And I'm like, me? No, right? I'm thinking, oh no, I'm going to be a
You're kind of just getting trained by, what is that? Baptism by fire is basically, right. But you didn't even have an awareness that was what's happening.
No. So I loved mastermind groups. I was a member of a mastermind group, of course, sitting there going, I don't know what I want to do with myself, right? But helping everybody else solve all their problems. And somebody at one time at that mastermind group said to me, you should be a business coach. And I was like, ugh, yuck, not me. And so I started the first one, and I called it, I was like, oh, I'm a connector. Like, what are the words everybody used to describe me? I'm a connector. So we're going to have coffee. I'm going to call it the Coffee Connection Mastermind Group. So I started a little Facebook page, had my first meeting, and like 15 people came. And it was great. And I went around and I asked them what they were struggling on, and I helped. Before you know it, I was facilitating. So I took everything I used to do in the entrepreneurial world that I liked and I didn't like, and I meshed it all together and created my own brand, my own whatever, right. Which I didn't even know I was doing. I did this under another company. And what that was, so they said next month, oh, when are we meeting next month? And I'm like, I don't know, you want to come back? Yes, of course we want to come back. And then they brought friends. And then it ended up saying, well, can you come to my town over here? I have 3 friends that want to come. So before I knew it, within 3 or 4 months, I was in 5 towns, leading 5 mastermind groups and selling out. So I didn't charge $10 anymore. I started charging $30 because I realized I started coaching these people. And then at one point, one client said to me, my first client, she messaged me after the Coffee Connection meeting and said, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I got so much value out of what you said. I worked with 2 business coaches before, and I got more from this one meeting than I had of years with a business coach. And I'm like, really? She's like, can you send me your package? And I'm like, sure, no problem. And I was like, oh crap, I don't have a package. So at that point, the Mind, Body, Spirit Center had kind of rebranded, pushed me out of the nest, and they're still my best friends till this day. And so, of course, I called one of the owners, like, help me. And so she helped me put a proposal together, and sure enough, that person hired me and changed her business, and it was amazing, and I was on my way. Well, what happened was all of those people that had been, for the last 2 years, I had been leading these mastermind groups, right. Found out that I was doing coaching. I never asked them to hire me. We're like, oh, I need a session with you. Well, I need a session. Well, I need a session. And so at some point, I think 6 months into it, I was driving from town to town, leading these mastermind groups, managing, 40 people's businesses. Because now at home, they're texting me at night and doing all this other stuff. But I'm a self-help, guru, and I've been studying Tony Robbins and personal development for 30 years. So after running and helping people run their businesses, and of course getting better with my coaching and taking seminars and workshops and teaching myself, I wrote a workbook. Right. I thought, if one person has this question, everybody has it. So let's put it on paper. And then, I remember telling my husband, oh, I can't believe I just wrote this workbook. Like, I don't even know how this happened. And he was like, you've been writing this book for 30 years. It's like, go figure. So
channeling this, you're channeling this stuff, I guess. That's all,
I'm pretty sure, yeah. But I was never even realizing it. So then what happened was I added holistic business coach because I realized what I wanted to do was attract and repel, because I was coaching in a way that no other coaches were doing that I knew of. And that was really listening to my clients, the entrepreneurs, because they were all pretty much in this journey of, this is my second act, right? I've had professionally trained, went to college, here's my education. Most of my clients, I took time off to have my family. Now I'm going to do what I really want to do, and I'm going to launch this business. But they maybe have allotted this much money, but no professional training. So if you're running your own business, it's a lot different than working for someone else. So during this time, I just figured out how to take down all these basic needs of what every entrepreneur who's launching a business needs and boiling it down. Meat and potatoes, ABC, speaking to everyone like they have an 8th grade education, because nobody wants anything complicated. And that is what the problem is you go to a workshop and you leave with this, right? So when my people would leave my meetings, they would leave with this, because I was saying it in so simple little broken down pieces. So here I am, only 2 years later, earning.
People have you worked with? Quite a bit.
How many people privately? My first year in business, 22, because my rates were so low. 22. So it was a lot. And then probably another 10, but add the coffee connection in, hundreds.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, with those
hundreds of people. I've heard the stories. So for 2 years when I ran entrepreneurial groups, I had 2 different chapters. The owner of the entrepreneurial group asked me to work for her corporately, so I would train her leaders. So that also happened to me. Every time I would join a group or something, within a week or 2, they'd say, oh, do you want to lead the group? Oh, do you want to run it? And I'm like, no, I'm just here. Like, I just want to be. So it wasn't really until I stepped into my own and launched my own business that my life really blew up and my business propelled, because I was hiding behind other people's businesses,
right,
which a lot of people do. And I think when people, they have this vision of when they launch a business. Okay, well, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, maybe a version of what it was when they worked for someone else, right, or their other entrepreneurial friends are doing. But really, that's not how it should be. Mm-hmm. It really should be like, what's your end goal? And let's work backwards. Mm-hmm. How many hours a week do you want to work? Let's design your life, a business to fit your life, your lifestyle. Right. Some people want to work 60 hours. Some people want to work 3 days. Personally, I work 4 days.
Right.
So that's my choice, So that's pretty much what I do. And I do one-on-one, and then I put people in a group, and we do everything from figuring out your logo to your brand, discovering your secret sauce, all of those other pieces. And then we get to finally, okay, now how are we going to market it? And people are so worried about the market, and I go, oh, that's the easiest thing. And they're like, it is? I'm like, oh yeah, that's nothing. And to me it is, because it is just, if you do what you love, I would say the money will come. And if you're honest and you over deliver, the clients will come. My business is 95% referrals. Right. Which is kind of crazy, but one person, when you over deliver, somebody tells somebody and somebody tells somebody.
You mentioned to me about some work that you do with a nonprofit.
So that's a personal piece of who I am, and I show up. That's again why I call myself holistic, is because I believe everyone should show up in their own skin, right, who they are. And I have been doing nonprofit work for 30 years. Only for the last 15 years has it been public, and I have let people know, because I used to hide it and think, oh, well, I don't want to tell people because then I want to be bragging. Right. So about 15 years ago, I did a project, and I needed help. I needed the community's help. And it was for a disaster relief project. And I realized once I started asking, it was raising everyone's vibration, because now I was letting them feel good. So it was a win-win all around. Right. I was feeling good. They were feeling good. And of course, we were helping people. Yeah. But I didn't realize that, because it goes back to what we're programmed with, what we're told, right? You don't brag. You just do good because you're doing it. You don't do good for a pat on the back and all that other stuff. But it was a different switch when I realized it was really just helping other people raise their vibration as well. Right. So I've always known that I would end my life doing some sort of, nonprofit work, and I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be. A few years ago, I launched a community closet in Hartford, which was one of my clients, right, and called it Dorothy's Community Closet. And I'm actually about to open my second location, which will be in Glastonbury at my church. Just had a great conference call this morning with one of the ministers there. And I purchased the domain. It's called HelpWorks. And my vision for that is to tap into the affluent community of the, the surrounding communities, and bring it inner city. Right. So if you collect clothing from people in inner cities, it's buggy and it's not good quality and it's been passed on to 20 people and it's dirty. But if you collect in the affluent community, it's coming great quality, brand new.
Right.
9 times out of 10, it's in a dry cleaning bag, you know, and so that bringing that into inner city, and of course they see that and they're so touched and appreciated. Most of them have never touched, homeless people have never touched, you know, good quality clothing to say, oh my gosh, this is amazing, or had women to have a real bra, you know,
Right.
It's a thing. So yes, I collect bras. Bras and tampons and toiletries and you name it, gloves, hats, shoes.
Awesome. I love
So that's the piece.
I think that's probably also an indicator of the type of entrepreneurial spirit that we're seeing more and more, where, you know, whether it's a holistic business or but I just think it's that holistic compassion to also incorporate some type of outreach or nonprofit work or advocacy or activism, you know.
Whether it's nature and you're involved, and I know personally you told me you're all about saving the planet, right? I think that's wonderful. So part of what I do is I help my clients figure out how to infuse that in their brand.
Right.
So if that's who you are and that's what lights you up and you have your own business, then guess what? All of your clients should know that. And if you're having an event, so when I hosted my first conference last year, you better believe I had everybody bring a pair of shoes. And we had 2 big, huge bins in the front of the room. And at the end, I pulled, and I didn't know this, I pulled a pair of shoes out. And the person who brought those shoes, I refunded their ticket to the conference. And so, like, that's just a kind of fun thing because it makes everyone feel good. So every single person that came that put a pair of shoes in that bin, it lit them up.
Right.
Because now they know it's going somewhere. Right. So that's part of the holistic approach.
You feel better in giving typically than when you receive.
Of course. But to have a combination of that, but that's what makes you, again, I go back to the secret sauce. That's what makes you unique. So my business, my brand is the ocean because I love it, in blue because, of course I have blue on today. I love blue, but those are my colors. So why not have your brand reflect who you are and what you're passionate about? So when I named it The Coffee Connection and I put a page on my website called The Community Connection, I'm the resource that people go to and say, hey, where can I put that used prom dress? Where do I bring my kids Legos? Where do I donate a couch? You know, I'm that person. So my vision of the nonprofit, and it's not mine because the nonprofit doesn't belong to anyone. Right. It's called Help Works. And the vision is to tap into the affluent people, bring not only clothing, but furniture into one big facility. And the homeless people or people who have fallen upon hard times can come in and shop for those basic essential needs that they need, whether it be a shower or clothing or furniture. And in exchange for that, here's the Help Works. They have to work it off. Right. So everything has a ticket or an amount to it. And so whether that means they are breaking down boxes or hanging clothing, they have to work off, which gives them a sense of dignity and purpose and hope. And then in addition to that, we'll have classes and, you know, lifestyle skills and all that other stuff. So that's just a little side project that I have going on. But I encourage...
Side project. But and you'll have a facility in Hartford then?
Yes.
That's amazing. So, but
I don't know how, but I will.
And you're not putting a time limit on it now. You're going to give it some space to develop. Let the universe cooperate and bring it to you and all that.
Absolutely. But I know that it's in my heart and I meant to do this. But this is the type of thing that I'm passionate about. It doesn't mean other people are passionate about that. We all have this, right? And it could be, you know, children, people involved with children with DCF because maybe their cousin or their best friend was, you know, a product of the system or whatever it is. But find out what that is, infuse it into your business, and allow your clients and your customers and your fundraisers and your whatever, every business event, have a tiny little piece of it because that's really who you are. And so that's why I add the holistic name and title to my coaching, because I'm trying to pull out of people And that's what, you know, the holistic world is really going about it in an organic, natural way. When you show up as you in your own skin, magic happens.
Right.
So that's what I try to do with people's businesses, is help them develop and design a business about whatever it is that they're passionate about.
Right.
And everybody has their own things.
You have a gift for providing clarity, I imagine.
I've been told.
Yes, because it does. It can be like you can't see the forest because of the trees when you're involved in this, because it can be so overwhelming, especially when you've not done it before, or, you know, even if you've done it before too, you know.
Sure.
Challenging because the marketplace is always changing, and you know, so those needs and how you communicate with that marketplace, obviously it's changing at an accelerated pace today.
And there's so much to learn, you know, there's so much to learn, and it can be deflating, and you can be stuck. So part of that is adding in your self-care and adding in what lights you up, and surrounding yourself by people that, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe, people that are your people, and not trying to fit in where you think you need to fit in. So that's what a holistic business looks like. It's adding the give back component. It's doing what you love. This is why I've created some of these courses that I teach people, developing your ideal client avatar. Who do you want to work with? You know, and all of your messaging should attract and repel, because not every.
Do you have a copy of that workbook that you can?
I do not have one in front of me.
Is it something that you print out yourself, or?
No, when you sign on to coach with me, you receive a workbook, a journal, but all of the lessons have PDFs, so I have the group coaching, and they all come with worksheets. And the only reason I don't have one is because it's constantly changing and evolving. So I print them out as I go, and I just had, I have a virtual assistant I work with, and I just had her do some edits for me. And that's another piece is, you know, do what you love and pay someone to do the rest. And that was part of the reason why I believe my business catapulted so quickly, was because I hired a virtual assistant before I had my first client, because I wanted all of my papers and my branding and everything.
Is that it's a person that you're hiring?
It's a person that you're hiring. My virtual assistant happens to be in Canada, and you communicate through project management online platform, and they can work anywhere from 1 hour a week to when I first hired them, I hired someone for 5 hours a month, and now I probably go with like 7 hours a week. So it's the benefit of having someone do your stuff the way you want it, take off of my plate what in the beginning, of course, I made my own flyers and PDFs and brochures, and I stunk at it. I was copying and dragging and deleting things and screaming and calling my teenagers and my engineer husband to help me, and I don't love doing it. And I was like, oh, I can't wait until I can pay someone to do this for me, right? And so that's what I do. And so I ask clients, you know, if you could, without them really even knowing it, you know, if money wasn't an object and you could pay someone to do, you know, to do 3 things in your business, what would they be? And little do they know, when they tell me that, by the end of our 6-month coaching together, I've already taken that off of their plate, and they no longer do that.
Right.
And when you do what you love all day long, your vibration changes, and you're better at it, and you're serving at a deeper level. So that's part of it as well. And people get scared by that and say, oh, I can't even pay myself. I can't pay someone else. You know, well,
I love that. Well, you create that like a you know, a small business ecology where you're kind of all helping each other. And that's the kind of, we were talking, Ed and I a little bit, Ed Cleveland, about that type of collaboration. That's not about competition. It's about collaboration and cooperation and all that. So I love that.
In the early days when I was running the mastermind groups, I shared a story with you yesterday about one of my members of the mastermind group who was in the situation where he was not the best with technology and didn't know how to do flyers. And actually I had 2 gentlemen who were in this situation. And I get so frustrated at them. And I was like, listen, you come here month after month after month asking for help with X, Y, and Z, but yet you don't have a business card and you don't have a brochure and a flyer. How are people going to find you? Well, I don't know how to do it. I'm like, look around the table. Who else can help you here? What can you give them? And so I started facilitating these barters within the group. You know, it's kind of crazy if you just do a barter with someone you don't know them, but when you already have that know, like, and trust factor, and I'm facilitating on it, and I'm going to call you on it next month, you know, it was amazing. We had people doing accounting in exchange for healing sessions. We had someone doing website designs in exchange for, you know, whatever it may be, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and especially when people are just getting started, you know, because you know, that's what I'd like to see, that kind of support, because everybody then can, everybody should rise, right?
Right.
You know?
And so when I do the group coaching, so we're all in this group, but the 1 hour is the lesson. So they get the PDF, we get on a call like this, and we go over through the lesson. Well, halfway through it, I stop and unmute people and pick on people and call on people and say, so what are your thoughts? And because if you have one question, somebody else has that same question. And then so it's a 90-minute call. The last 30 minutes of it is a mastermind group. Because it just makes people feel so much better to know, like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one that feels this way, you know, because you beat up on yourself.
I think, like you said, that having that support, I think, and knowing, like, other people are in the same situation, you're not alone, because typically entrepreneurs are working alone. As a writer, I'm always sitting in a room by myself, you know. So it really
imagine what it would be like if you wrote a piece and you had a group that you could post it in,
right,
and people would critique you and cheer you on. One mastermind group, it just so happened there were 5 women and myself, and everybody happened to be working on their bio. So I said, okay, this is it, impromptu. We're all gonna do this email thing by whatever day it was. I want everybody to send a draft out, and let's take some time. Let's help each other out. And so some people had been working on their bio for 2 and 3 months and had gotten nowhere. Within 1 week of these other ladies in the group, 5 of us, editing and copying and saying, oh, well, do you really need that but in there? What about this? And, well, you don't talk about this or whatever. Everybody banged out their bio, boom, like that. And talk about what a relief that was, because they were able to get other people's opinion. And not only that, we're all acting as ambassadors for each other's businesses. So when someone posts something on social media, we say, oh, let me like that. Oh, let me comment on that, which of course
your confidence, and it kind of helps you to blast through the insecurity.
Yeah. And how you're seen.
When you're used to hiding behind other people and you don't want to be seen. And so I deal with a little bit of that myself, but I'm ready to tackle that.
And so for what you do, I'm in awe of your storytelling, and because that's not something that's my forte, right? So you could tell me your business or your challenge or your question. I could come up with 15 ideas like that. How to market it? Boom, 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 boom. But you tell me your story and you ask me to sit down and write it, I go, oh.
Right.
But yet you can do that. You can interview someone and tell their story. So we all have our own skills. And that's, of course, is your secret sauce.
Right, right.
And that's why that's another topic that I speak on, is discovering your secret sauce. It's really important for you not only to know what your secret sauce is, but to infuse it into your business, right, which then comes into the branding piece. What's your brand? It's not just the colors or what you say you do, but it's, it's what people think of you when they think of your brand.
Right. And it's also, I think, for entrepreneurs to not only realize what, like, the secret sauce is, what their special skills are, their superpowers are, but also to get down into the subtlety of its value, the intrinsic value of it, because I think so many people undervalue what they bring, because I think, I don't know, for me, for a long time, I used to think everybody kind of thought the way that I think, and it's not anything like that. Everybody thinks, experiences the world so different,
Sure.
It's really.
And then from that is how after we go through all of those steps, then we develop your signature offers and packages. which are unique to you, but we can't do the signature offers and packages until we broke down your secret sauce, your brand, developing your client avatar, who you want to work with, all of those pieces. And then we start talking about, okay, now let's talk about your marketing. Where are they at? Where do those people hang out? How are you going to reach them? Is it social media? Is it,
You probably have funny stories, or you will as you continue to collect them, with people that really get tortured going through that process, I imagine.
Oh,
what is
absolutely. One of my favorite stories, and I use a lot of my coaching examples with my clients, is other clients' stories. Of course, I never say their name or their business, but I have this one client who owned a yoga studio, and she secretly always wanted to speak. So she was the client I referred to as the first one who said, I got the most value from you. She was my first client.
Right.
And so, offline, when she messaged me, we had a phone conversation, and she said, I'm thinking of closing my business. I've been doing it for 15 years. I'm bored with it. I have my own place. And I said, really? And so she said, yeah, I'm not sure. I said, well, maybe it's just who you're serving. Have you thought about that? Have you ever thought about a client avatar? And she was like, well, what's that? So I explained to her what a client avatar is. It's an ideal client avatar. It's who you'd love to work with, and you build a fictitious character of that person. How old are they? Are they a man, a woman? Where do they live? Blah, 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 kind of a thing. She said, yeah, I'd be game for meeting on that. But the holistic piece of it is as she was talking at this Coffee Connection meeting, and we went around the room, what are you struggling on? Where are you at in your business? And so she was talking, blah, 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 getting new clients, kind of a thing. And then one thing she said was, but I was asked, one of my clients asked me, the yoga students asked me to speak at one of her women's groups or something, and her whole body language changed up. And she was like, and she was like, all this, like, super, super excited. And I was like, wow. It's like, oh, what are you going to speak on? She was like, oh, well, mindfulness, because part of the yoga practice and whatever. And then we went on and talked about her business. So we met, she was in Litchfield County. We met halfway. And when I showed up, it was at Starbucks. I had 2 packets. And I said, oh, here's your client avatar packets. And she's like, well, why do you have 2 of them? And I go, well, this one is for your yoga students, and this one is for your speaking engagements. And she's like, speaking? What? So needless to say, she hired me. I worked with her for a year, and she now gets paid $150 to $250 to speak on mindfulness. And we have twisted her entire business. And she went from closing her business because she was bored. But you know why she was bored? Because her messaging, and she was just serving people who were really not into changing their life. They were into maintenance and doing the yoga pose like this, and where she wanted to go deeper. So now she does classes and workshops and collaborations and brings people in and takes them on day trips, and she goes really deep. And so it's a whole interesting piece. That was so fun.
She loves you because you saw that in her, and she didn't even see it in herself.
So we worked together for a year, and she's one of my biggest fans. And I have this, I call this my VIP page. So I put all these people in this Facebook page. And if you're a past client or a present client, you're on this VIP page. But the difference is I leave all my clients there. I never kick them out. I never kick them out of the nest, because I have this business document library, and I'm always updating it. So they get to add that, get the value of it. And then every now and then, even this client will call me, and I call it a dial-up pizza. I need a dial-up pizza. I need 2 pizzas, and that's just to check in. So I love those calls. So I don't just work with somebody on a dial-up pizza basis anymore. In the early days I did, and the reason I don't is because they won't have any progress with it. Just one session. They have to really jump in for 6 months or 6 weeks, or a larger chunk of time to really get the benefits. Right. So I will not do that anymore. But if they've ever gone through one of my programs, I leave them there, and they can always get the dial-up pizza. So
that's awesome.
So that's a true story. And that's, again, she sent me many, many clients, but that's how I run my business, on 95% referrals. And that's my goal when I help people build their business. That's their end goal. That's my goal for them, is that they don't have to kill themselves marketing. They're over delivering because they're falling in love with their clients, not their product. Because we need to switch and innovate, and people get so stuck on their product and they forget there's people behind that product. And those are the people we want to serve.
Right.
So
you must have, you must have an interesting gamut of holistic practitioners that you've worked with. And
yes.
So what were the more unusual maybe, or the most popular?
A lot of massage therapists and a lot of healers, but I put the message out there. I attract them because I love massages, and I'm a big fan of self-care. You cannot drink or pour from an empty cup. And people ask me all the time, what's your secret? And I'm like, extreme self-care. Take care of yourself. So I attract a lot of spa owners and healers. One of my recent clients, new clients, who I adore, is the massage therapist, but she hired me to help her open a salt cave.
All right.
And so awesome. That is super exciting.
What town is that?
It's in Middletown. So it's not officially open and launched yet, so it's kind of hush-hush. But
that's great, because I think there used to be one in West Hartford, but I think it might have closed. And I think there's others, but it's maybe Naugatuck area or Fairfield. So
there's seven in the state of Connecticut, because that was her homework from last week. She had to come. She had to come to me with a list of 7, and she has to go see each one.
Right.
And interview the owners of them.
I was talking about that and wondering about, because they sometimes do sound healing events inside these salt caves.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they can collaborate. Who knows?
Absolutely. So everything from photographer, accountant, foot reflexologist, a lot of yoga studio, wellness centers, people that own wellness centers.
Right.
Always some sort of healing element of it. And so I think without even trying, I became the coach to the healers.
Right.
Because when I've worked, you want to go with someone I've worked with, like I said, over 100 different healers, helping them grow and, double and triple their businesses. Really, I'm not doing the work. They're doing the work. I'm just cheering them on, encouraging them, saying, look at this one.
You're seeing things that they don't see, and which is
right.
awesome. Then you get to spotlight that, and that's where people are finding them when they see that spotlight, right?
Coming in with an objective eye.
Right.
But in an area of expertise that I know and love, because I've had so many different healing experiences and I believe in it.
Right.
So I'm not just making it up and rolling my eyes. Like, I truly believe in what they do is the real work, and there's a need for it.
Yeah.
Personally, I've, performed healings in many hospitals. Cancer patients. I've been asked by a lot of different people to do those types of things. A friend and I did a healing for their Sandy Hook Resiliency Center. It was like the anniversary weekend.
You went to do Reiki or
something? Well, we did like a little crystal, a little Reiki, a little, you name it. It was meditation. It was all lumped into something. But we went for a full day, a full 7 hours, and went and, helped. It's a beautiful center that they have, where they can go and explore art and therapy. And anyway, so that's just something, again, it's the nonprofit piece. It's just the giving back, and that is the balance.
So much from that, I imagine. When I talk to volunteers, they are always so appreciative of everything they get from that experience, much more.
We get more than we give, right? That's what it feels like. Yeah. That's why when I do the community projects, we have one event coming up here that I'll be hosting at my home, building blessing bags to give out to the people in Hartford. And sometimes it's really, everything is all over my dining room, and people are assembling bags, and so we stuff purses and we do all different things. I never really end up filling a bag, because I'm just the coordinator, but then I stop and I look and I go, oh, this is so amazing to see everybody come in and, with all their donations, and then they feel so good and they bring their kids, and it's just such a win-win. And we haven't even gotten to the actual event where I'm handing it to them. This is just the preparation of it. Mm-hmm. So That's the piece of designing your business to fit your life and your lifestyle. Instead of putting yourself in a cookie cutter or a mold, what are you passionate about? What do you want to do? What don't you want to do? And let's create your business around that, and including volunteering.
It's true. Yeah, I love that, the way that these projects create communities, and support communities as well, And I love that idea of connecting, because we all need more connection in real life. And, virtual connection is great too. It's a great tool. But I think that would be very healthy for our country if we could do that, a little bit more of that. And
bring it all in.
Yeah, and it seems like that people are getting out there more, taking over the streets, I guess,
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know of any business that you can't do that.
Right.
You have, especially if you're having an event or you're having a fundraiser, you can always, bring a this for this. And then, there's so many different opportunities, because collectively, when we're all putting in one little bottle of shampoo that only cost us $1 to donate, well, if you have 50 people, now we're making an impact, right? But it's, changing lives one life at a time, developing a business one business at a time. But there's a whole lot of intermingling in with this business coaching that I do, whereas it excites me so much to be the connector and saying, okay, you now need to work with this person, and you're going to get a headshot from this person, and in exchange it's this. And then, like I said, they're all ambassadors for each other's businesses.
Right.
And then you decide, once you figured it all out, then I say, like, okay, now how can we grow? Where do you want to go next? Right? They forget that they told me what they really wanted. That big, scary, ugly goal. They really shouldn't tell me that, because I'm going to make it happen for them.
That's great. And then once they become more abundant as well, they could do more good. If that's part of your plan, if your business is doing well, you can devote more time to your nonprofit. And so
exactly,
that's what I would like to think about, to have that kind of a system set up,
Right. So this has been a dream of mine for many, many years, but up until my business was successful, and now I'm taking the money that I'm collecting from helping other people run their businesses. Now I have the financial means to launch a nonprofit, which takes a few $1,000s. It does.
Right.
It happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
But in order to be able to do that, I needed to get myself in that place. So I've kind of done the hard work, and now I just show up and do what just comes so natural, just teaching and learning. And
I love that, because sometimes I'll talk to someone and people maybe think that they're not deserving of abundance because so many people are in need. But I say, no, if you could get your needs met, think of how many people you could help, because this person is so talented and does so much good. And they're, and when you're struggling, think about all the people that you're not going to be able to help.
Undercharging is something else people struggle with. I'm launching a new group coaching program, which is kind of the group coaching 2.0. And one of the topics in there is getting comfortable with sales and sales conversations. And that was something that I personally struggled with. So one of my goals for this year was to hire a business coach to help me get over that. And I hired a coach for 3 months, paid an uncomfortable amount of money, because when you put yourself out there on a ledge, you're going to do the work and get the results. And not only have I conquered my fear, but I'm having sales conversations. I'm saying my rates effortlessly, and I'm blogging and talking about it, and now teaching on it, because that's part of the business. And if you're an entrepreneur, you really need to be able to have a handle on every aspect, and that is having the sales conversation. If you are authentic and selling what you should be selling in terms of products or services, there's nothing uncomfortable about it. If they're not right for you, then you know what? Sounds like you really need a life coach. I have this person that I want you to meet, and I refer people to this wonderful lady in Bristol, Pam Tizwicki, and I love her, and she does life coaching. So I've had to do that, coming from a place of, I could really use this client, but you know what? When you separate from the outcome, they're better off going here because they need life coaching, and I do business coaching.
Are most of your clients here in Connecticut? They're usually local, or do you have other people, because you can Skype in you know?
Right. Well, because my business is 95% referrals, I'm fortunate enough to have that. Most of my clients are local, but I do have some that may have referred to me, a cousin or this or that. But for the most part, they're all within Connecticut. I have some upstate New York. I have one in Springfield.
If anybody around the globe happens to catch it, you know, they want to know.
And I've done that. I've done a few breakthrough sessions. I've definitely had people on my page from other countries, from England and from Australia. And I've done a few here and there.
Some Facebook Live stuff you said too, or?
Well, I do like a lot of, so I have a page, a group called the Coffee Connection Mastermind Group, which started from when I was running these little groups. And now I just have it up there and I have people from all around the world on it. And I encourage them and I bring guest experts on. Love to have you on my page and do a live. And I had someone on from Australia and her expertise was in doing videos. So she did a page takeover. So she hopped on my page for a week, cheered everyone on and gave them a challenge every day where they had to do a live video every day to get them comfortable with it. Nice. But it's also giving her an opportunity to express herself and share her business. Right. And so she did get a couple of clients from it. It was like fantastic. Well, I certainly do lives, but that's not in my business. That's not my expertise. I can do this much and coach people, but not that. They really want to, you know, be seen, then, hey, work with this expert. Right. I had someone else on who is an author, and this is her area of expertise. Right. And she was in, I want to say, Florida, and she did a page takeover, and she came on every day and did a writing challenge and really pushed those people that have a book inside of them and, you know, gave them some tips and some pinpoints. I have a woman coming on who's a branding expert. I do a lot with branding. I love branding, but this is someone else's entire business that she's been doing for 20 years.
You're the maestro, you're the conductor, you just bring them in, right?
Yep. And I have somebody, you need a logo, you go to this person. If you need a website, you go here. If you need a this, you go there. And I kind of push them all in those directions and coach them. So they're working on their logos and then they come back with me. But there's a process on how you select and choose. And then from here, or a lot of times it's what comes first, right? The chicken, the egg, like what comes first. So they get a business plan, but they also get, I don't even know, I have 50 items on a checklist. All right. You know, first you get your domain, then, well, what if they don't have a name? Then they have this. Everybody's at a different point. And the people that come to me with an existing business and their business is just like, well, I have my domain, I have my website, but I don't have any customers. Now what? I love those people. I'm like, piece of cake. You did all the hard work. And they're like, what? What do you mean? And then before you know it, within, 6 weeks, they're overwhelmed and they need to hire someone because they just missed a tiny little piece. And typically what that piece is themselves, sharing, being authentic and sharing that piece. Right, people think they need to hide the other aspects of their lives, but you need to share.
It's a little, I think, intimidating, especially on the web, revealing certain things too. Just because depending on what it is, there can be backlash and, people on the web feel empowered to, say things because they have anonymity and.
Right. I'm not saying share who you voted for or what your political beliefs are.
Right. But I think that might underlie the fear sometimes people have about expressing themselves. Mm-hmm. But, I think, but once you kind of clear that hurdle, you could put your toe in the water and then you can feel a little encouraged, do a little more, and then suddenly, it's no problem.
Right. Baby steps. That's what it's all about. One little thing. Okay, then what's the next thing? Then what's the next thing? And you're cheering on. Where sometimes if you're by yourself, you can quit. It's getting too scary now.
It's so hard, yeah.
It's too hard. I already did X, Y, and Z. I'm done now. Right? And then they want to be safe. And that's it. Mm-hmm. So you have this one client and she has an interesting business. I think I mentioned her to you, and she healed acid reflux naturally. Right. That's her whole business. And we've tweaked her plan a little bit. So now she has 3 different packages. And one of the things I was explaining to her was, so one of them is you can buy her package just the audio of the 5-week lesson, and you can listen to it on your own.
All right.
Well, the next one is you can be in a group. So you get the 5-week, all the lessons and how to heal your acid reflux, but now you're in a group coaching style. And then the last one is the one-on-one. So I said to her, well, explain it to your clients. Don't push them to one particular place. How could you possibly know, right? At this point in my life, I know which shirts look good on me and which ones I have no business wearing, right? Just like I know if I'm going to join a gym, what kind of a gym I need to join. Well, I'm already a member of the $9.95 a month gym, go on your own, and that's not working out so well for me, right? That would be the equivalent of buying the do-it-yourself inexpensive package, right? You know if you can excel in that area. The other one is the group one, right? Do you need a group? Well, I am an extrovert, you may have noticed, and I thrive on other people's energy. So that package actually would be better for me. Because in a group setting, I'm cheering other people on, they're cheering me on, I'm getting that vibe. But then there are those people who perhaps are introverted or want that one-on-one, those the people that go to the gym with a personal trainer. The personal trainer is going to hold them accountable, but it's just them. It's nobody else, So I said, explain it to your clients that way, which package is best for them. Just kind of why I came up with the group coaching and the one-on-one coaching. So the benefit of the one-on-one coaching is obviously you just have me, but then I also give them the opportunity of going into the group. So then they get the mastermind and they get that vibe as well. But not everybody takes advantage of that and they say, no, I just like having you alone. It's people understanding, pick and choose what's inside of you. I can't decide what program is right for you. Only you know how you learn. You know what shirts look good on you and which do not.
It's so interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, but for me, I like to leave the holistic title in instead of just saying business coach because I'm not for everyone. I have a very high energy and I take, like I said, I take that holistic approach to things and it could be a turn off for some people. And so that's why if you're going to invest in a coach, you really want to make sure you're an energetic fit and you want to hire someone who's successful.
Everything's about being in resonance today. Do we resonate?
Right.
Do I resonate with you?
Exactly. Well, it's so cliche, but your vibe attracts your tribe. That's how I feel, one of the most exciting things for me too is when I meet someone new and it's always, like I said, always a referral. And I say, tell me about your business, tell me what you do. And they tell me they do some really, outrageous holistic healing thing modality. I'm like, ooh, and I'm like, I want that. I want to try that.
Exactly.
And I actually try all of my clients that offer services. I go and I visit all of their locations in person. I want to take in the scent, the smell, the energy, what it feels like to sit on their tables or sit across the desk from them.
It's like when you're reporting a story, it makes a huge difference to go and be at the scene, as opposed to phoning it in because, you get the whole sensory experience, the energetic experience, all that.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's fun, when I mentioned earlier in the call when I wrote down what I love to do and what I don't want to do, I actually wrote down, I want to get paid to go and have healing sessions. I want to get paid to meet people for coffee and talk with them. I just left a meeting this morning with a client and it was outside in Glastonbury, under an umbrella sitting at a table and I just got paid to sit there and have a conversation with someone. It was great. And we left and she was like, thank you so much. This was amazing. This was great, kind of thing. And, but that's what it's about. She does what she does and I do what I do. And
well, I'm wondering though, even if it'll be another year or two from now when you'll be like something else and you'll be like, and I had no idea that this was really what I should have been doing. I thought I was a holistic business coach because it's going to continue to evolve as you go.
Right.
So,
maybe. Who knows? You don't know. I'm open,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I try to do is just stay open and exactly because, I think there's the universe has a bigger plan for us than we can ever imagine,
I do feel like I agree. And I feel like when you are in alignment, everything just falls into place. When you have to keep knocking on that door, that's not your door, go to a different one.
Right.
And they should just turn the knob and you can walk in. And that's what's happened for me in the last few years, is that things are just really falling into place. I'm not saying I didn't have to work hard and I didn't have struggles, but I kept the faith, and I keep, because I fall in love with my clients and not my product, I keep changing, I keep innovating, I keep pushing myself. I just launched the 6-week group coaching program in June, and here I am doing another one because it's a stretch and a reach, and it's pushing myself. I did not know that I was going to do a second 6-week group coaching program. I only knew after I did my first session with that group, because they loved it. And I was like, why haven't I been doing this all along? Oh, and at the end of this session of these 6 new topics,
Right.
who knows, right? I don't know. It's not my intention to come up with a 3rd session, but if they want it, I will. Give the people what they want, right?
Yeah, and it's, if you're able to have your nose to the grindstone while sitting under an umbrella drinking coffee,
right?
not so bad. It's better than digging ditches, I guess. And you're helping to change the universe, right? Because you're raising the vibration and helping to create abundance, which will go out and, more people will be helped,
I like to call it living the laptop lifestyle, where I can take my laptop and, I've taken 3 trips this year, and I worked on all of them. And I just take my laptop and I can sit on the deck. I accompanied my parents to a trip to Florida. My mom really needed me to go and help take care of my dad. And it was like 5 days notice. I'm like, well, I still have clients. So, I just were able to log in, do my Zoom calls, bring my notebook, and it energized me. And I was able to take away from that family emotion of watching my dad decline, and now I'm able to take care of him and push him in the wheelchair in an airport, and, the stress. And when I came home, my sister said, I can't believe how amazing you did. Like, how did you do it? And I was like, I worked every day, like for an hour.
To raise your vibration.
I had 1 call a day. Instead of doing 3 in one day, I did 1 a day, and that is what I feed on. So when I'm helping someone, that raised my vibration, and all it took was that 1 call, and I was like, oh, that's kind of my oxygen mask. I'm like, well, that and meditation was pretty much how I survived. I survived the week, and they had a great time. They want me to go to Aruba with them in March. I'm like, okay, as long as I can work, sure. That's living the laptop lifestyle. And I designed my business on that, around that, so I can do my calls here. Some people like to see me in person, and I always say, well, if you come to my town, I'll meet you in person, which is, and I love that, obviously. I need people, but. Well, I love that you said that. And the reason is because I believe we're all here for a reason. We're here to teach or to learn, to be the student, right, or to help someone. And so I believe if someone is put in my path and they're led to me and they reach out to me, there's a reason that I can help them or they can help me. And it doesn't really matter. It's not about, oh, are you going to be my client? It's like I gift a lot of sessions away with a lot of people for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
I charge and I make money, and I'm in business to make money. But if someone comes to me and wants to work with me, X, Y, and Z, I'll come up with a way. I think it comes from working with the homeless, coming up with a way to give them their dignity, and not coming out and saying, well, I know you don't have the money to pay me. How about this?
Some other exchange.
Come out with a way of lifting them up and making them me saying, wow, well, I really love X, Y, and Z. Oh, tell me about this. And I act like I want to purchase it. And then they will say to me, you could really help me with whatever. And I'll go, oh, sure. But really, that was just a way of me giving them the dignity, and them not even having to come out and ask, can you give this for free, So that's why I'll get on a call with anyone, and maybe there'll come a point where I won't be able to do that, but I certainly hope not. I'll get on a call and how can I help you? And a lot of times people, like I said, people will need a little guidance, and I'll point them in 5 different directions. We'll hang up the call, and I've sent you 5 different links, and you're like, what? Who does this? If I have it and it's inside of me, I am sharing it and I am giving it out. And it works for me, over delivering, but paying attention to those synchronicities. So yes, absolutely. If I'm free and available, which isn't always the case, sometimes I'm not available for another week and a half.
Like sometimes it's meant to be, or if it's not meant to be, I think that if it is, it'll happen, you know?
Exactly. Absolutely. And, you know, how can I help you? How can I, and I'll say that to people, how can I help you? How can I support you? You know, what would a good recommendation be for you? Or what, you know, and they'll say, oh, I really need a web designer. Oh, I really need somebody to help me with this, or, you know, whatever it may be. But that's just the connection. And we all need to get back to that. I feel we all need to get back to that human connection and care for each other and not come from a place of, well, what do they want from me? How are they taking?
Because there can be, you know, mostly we're designed to have, you know, an exchange of cash for, you know, payment of services, but there can be other exchanges, you know, so, and not everybody's comfortable with it, but maybe like you're saying with young entrepreneurs starting out that want to barter for services. So maybe
Right.
someone who's established, that might not work for them, you know, or
Right.
sometimes people have reasons, maybe they've had bad experiences with that. So, but in these communities that you're creating where there is a certain level of trust and accountability, then it, you know, it's, you know, more acceptable, or people are, you know, feel more trusting maybe to do it, because I guess it could go south for any number of reasons.
And it can, but so when that happens, and one of the other things I do is if something happens and it's an epic fail, I'll get on one of my pages of my VIP page and do a live and just do a share. Okay, well, I want to tell you my fail for the day. So I did or I launched this program and nobody signed up.
Right.
So, well, what that means is great. Well, now I know never to do that again. Now that's moving me one step closer to my goal because I failed at something. We all fail. And when we show up and we're fake and we don't, you know, we don't act like we fail and, oh, everything is so perfect. Oh, believe me, I've had fails before.
But understanding the reasons for it is really what's going to launch your success, you know.
When you peel back the layers of the onion, when you really look down, there was probably some components of it that weren't in alignment.
Right.
That I was doing because I thought people wanted, but it really wasn't in alignment with what I wanted to do. And when you make tiny little shifts and tiny little tweaks, that's when the magic happens. Don't give up. Just keep trying. Just keep trying.
Right.
People aren't buying, you know, well, you're asking the wrong people to buy.
Right.
So 220, we talked about ending our call at 222, and it's looking like we're heading in that direction, my friend.
Good. Sounds good. Well, this was delightful. I think we'll do this again. I know we will.
Definitely.
So I'm so glad that we had a chance to meet this week. It's very exciting.
Yes, this has been a lot of fun, and thank you so much. It can be uncomfortable talking about yourself for this long. Because I'm in the business of listening, not really talking about myself.
Right. But I'm impressed that you're able to do that. And I would aspire to become a better speaker myself, because I was a print journalist, and so really, and also behind the camera as a photographer or videographer. So this is stretching my wings a little bit here. And I can be very tongue-tied. So I think it's, you know, I probably was a little bit here today, but as I practice this and become more relaxed, I think it'll you know, the words will flow better.
No, it was great. And this is something personally that I work on myself. I'm actually doing a 17-week speaker training class.
Oh, that's great.
I want to be an expert in it. And people are like, what do you mean? You're going to speaker training? Like, yes.
That's
because
awesome.
When you think you've learned everything, then close the casket.
Well,
because
start thinking about your TED Talk then, okay?
Oh, that's on the vision board, by the way.
Good.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great day, and I really loved being here, and I look forward to what the universe has in store for both of us.
I think so. I think it'll be great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Humanity has been on an epic journey of discovery, learning the truth about the world we live in. New discoveries about the true origins of humanity, ancient history, free energy, as well as the systematic corruption of world governments are now on the forefront of our daily reality. Is the world headed towards destruction based on control and power? Or is an opportunity now being presented to shift and uplift into a higher consciousness? My name is Mel V, co-founder and creative director of Conscious Consumer Network, an independent broadcast network that was launched on the 1st of January 2015. In the last 3 years, Conscious Consumer Network has broadcast over 2,800 shows in multiple languages, featuring guests from across the world, whilst creating media that is aimed at the creation of a free, fair, peaceful, just, sustainable world. Conscious Consumer Network provides full training and an interactive support network for all broadcasters, and we are always looking for inspiring and educational content.
Hi, this is Lady Liberty.
And this is Miro Siegel.
In 2018, Conscious Consumer Network has expanded to multiple broadcast locations, increasing our availability and reach across the world, remaining on the cutting edge of independent media. If we wish to create a better world, we must first create better media, geared towards real education instead of indoctrination.
You guys really are what changing the world is going to be about. It's educating kids at a grassroots level.
Having become a pillar of stability in the turbulent world of independent media, we have even more going on in 2018. Conscious Consumer Network is a publicly funded network, and we rely on all of you to keep us on the air. Show your support for independent media by donating to our 2018 Network Support Fund. Dare to seek a better world. Support independent media.